Hello everyone, I hope you guys are all doing very well. Today is kind of a food for thought video because the US Open is starting on Monday and I was super shocked by the results so far of the Western and Southern Open. Obviously I'm making this video before the tournament's even over, but an observation that I made from the earlier rounds is really striking to me, and I think that I wanted to just go on here and talk about it before the US Open started. So just some context, in the Western and Southern Open, there are 16 men's seeds and 16 women's seeds in the draw. And you only have to win 2 matches to get to the round of 16. So I assumed, which, most people assume, is that most seeds will make it to the round of 16 because not as many top players are playing in these tournaments, but also it's only 2 rounds. It's not like in a Grand Slam where you have to win a few more rounds than just 2 to get to the round of 16. So I made a really interesting observation, and it's probably obvious to many people if you watch tennis closely, but I was looking at the bottom of Tennis Channel where they give the results, and one after the other, I kept seeing seeds losing, like top seeds like Dominic Thiem and Sofia Kenin, like these really top players. I mean, Kenin won the Australian Open this year, like she was in her prime, and they're losing in the first or second rounds. So I did some calculations. For me, it's calculations, but for math people, it's really just considered counting. But I counted the number of seeds, so there are 16, who lost before the round of 16 in this Western and Southern Open. And what I noticed was that 8 men's seeds out of the 16, so that means 50% of the men's seeds lost before the round of 16. So then I go over to the women's side, and it's the same exact thing. 8 out of the 16's women's seeds also lost before the round of 16, which is also 50%, which means that both half the seeds on the men's and women's side lost early on, which is, I feel like, a super rare occurrence, especially in these smaller tournaments where not as many top players are playing. And I was just kind of thinking, like, how is this possible, right? And I wasn't the only one thinking this. Thiem, after his match that he lost, very easily, like 1-2 or something, he was talking to an interview after the match, and he was like, honestly, I have no idea. Like, my rhythm was just not there. And same with Kenin. She said the same exact thing. I was just missing like crazy. I couldn't make any balls, and I don't know why. So, at first I was like, yeah, that's interesting, but then I realized something. And I think it really has to do with what was before and what is now. Think about these players, Dominic Thiem and Sofia Kenin. They had such successful careers prior to the coronavirus pandemic. And the only factors that have changed from then to now is the fans. That's the only difference. And it's not that they're playing for the fans, it's not that the fans make them better, but it's the condition. It's the condition of having fans always there. And if you take away that one condition, it's no longer the same thing that they were comfortable playing with. So even though it's something pretty minor, it actually makes a huge difference on their games. And personally, I think that's why these top players aren't playing at their prime right now. So that's just a little bit of food for thought going into the US Open, right? Because there also won't be many fans in the US Open, if any. I'm not really sure, I have to look into that. But the conditions are gonna be so different. They also have to get their own towels, and I'm not sure if they'll have lines people, right? In the Western Southern Open, it's like a technological system making the line calls, which is kind of interesting. But there's all these different factors that come into play. They're no longer playing in the conditions they're used to playing in. So it'll be really interesting to see that, and I think everyone who's gonna go and start watching the US Open on Monday should keep that in mind. Do these players look comfortable? Do they look frustrated? And think about the only things that have changed since then. I mean, these players, it's their profession, tennis. So I don't really think it's rust. I think that they've played a lot in the off season, but at the same time, it could be rust in a different way. It could be rust playing not in front of as many people. They also have to travel to the US Open with less people. They have to quarantine, all these factors. Maybe these up and coming players who didn't really have a chance prior to the pandemic might have a chance now. I'm not saying that the next 2 people to win the men's and women's Grand Slams are going to be those underdogs, but maybe they'll kind of reach farther into the Grand Slam and maybe reach the semis, finals. And obviously I'm a big fan of underdogs winning, so hopefully maybe they do win the US Open this year. So anyways, just wanted to come on here and talk about that. please like and subscribe, and comment also if you guys have any other interesting comments as to why you think that these top players are losing so early on in the Western and Southern Open, and whether you think that this is just a fluke and they'll get right back to it in the US Open. So anyways, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time.